In the quiet village of Nwanneka, nestled among the hills of southeastern Nigeria, lived a young woman named Nwanneka. From a tender age, Nwanneka had always dreamed of becoming a renowned potter, a craft that had been passed down through generations in her family. Yet, in a village where tradition dictated every step of one's life, her dreams were often met with skepticism. Nwanneka's mother, Nwanneka, was a respected potter known for her intricate designs and flawless craftsmanship. But unlike her daughter, Nwanneka never saw pottery as a dream, it was simply a way of life. Nwanneka, however, envisioned something more. She wanted to create pieces that told stories, pieces that would travel beyond the boundaries of Nwanneka, carrying with them the essence of her people. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the village, Nwanneka sat outside her family's hut, shaping clay in her hands. Her younger brother, Chukwuma, watched her in silence, noticing the faraway look in her eyes. "Nwan, what are you thinking about?" he asked, breaking the silence. Nwanneka smiled softly. "I'm thinking about what it would be like to see my pottery in distant lands, Chukwuma. I want people to know our stories, our struggles, and our joys through the pieces I create." Chukwuma frowned. "But everyone says that you should just make pots like Mama. Why do you want to do more?" "Because I believe that dreams are meant to soar," Nwanneka replied, her voice steady. "I want to take our heritage and give it wings, so it can be seen and appreciated by the world." Her words were filled with passion, but they were not shared by everyone. When Nwanneka confided in her mother about her dreams, Nwanneka's response was less than encouraging. "Nwanneka, my daughter, you must understand that we are potters, not dreamers. Our craft is meant to serve the community, not to be paraded in faraway lands," Nwanneka said sternly. "The world you speak of is not our world. It is filled with challenges and obstacles that you may not be able to overcome." But Nwanneka was not deterred. She knew that her mother's words came from a place of love and concern, but they also fueled her desire to prove that her dreams were not impossible. She began to spend more time in the family's workshop, experimenting with new designs, shapes, and techniques that reflected the rich culture of Nwanneka. The more she worked, the more her confidence grew. Yet, with each passing day, Nwanneka also realized that the path she had chosen was fraught with difficulties. The villagers were set in their ways, and many of them frowned upon her attempts to break away from tradition. They whispered behind her back, calling her foolish and headstrong. But Nwanneka remained undaunted. She knew that the journey to achieving her dreams would not be easy, but she was determined to overcome every obstacle in her path. She was driven by the belief that if she could create something truly unique, something that resonated with people, then her dreams could become a reality. One day, as she was working on a particularly challenging piece, Chukwuma approached her again. "Nwan, why do you keep going even when everyone doubts you?" he asked. Nwanneka paused, looking at her brother with a gentle smile. "Because, Chukwuma, I believe that dreams are like seeds. If you nurture them, they will grow. They may take time, and they may face storms, but if you stay true to them, they will one day bear fruit." Chukwuma nodded slowly, absorbing his sister's words. Though young, he admired Nwanneka's determination and began to see the beauty in her vision. As the chapter drew to a close, Nwanneka stood before the kiln, watching as the fire danced around her latest creation. The journey ahead was uncertain, and the obstacles were many, but Nwanneka knew in her heart that she was on the right path. Her dreams were beginning to soar, and she was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The days in Nwanneka passed with the rhythm of the seasons, but for Nwanneka, each day brought a new challenge. Her mother, Nwanneka, had grown increasingly worried about her daughter's unconventional approach to pottery. The village, too, had begun to notice the changes in Nwanneka's work, and the whispers grew louder. "Nwanneka, why do you insist on defying our traditions?" her mother asked one evening as they sat together in the workshop. The air was thick with the scent of wet clay, and the soft glow of oil lamps flickered around them. Nwanneka looked up from her work, her hands covered in clay. "Mama, I am not defying our traditions. I am honoring them in a way that allows others to see the beauty of our heritage. I want our stories to be told through my pottery, not just to the people here but to the world beyond." Nwanneka sighed deeply. "The world beyond our village is a harsh place, Nwanneka. It is full of people who do not understand or appreciate our ways. You must be careful not to lose yourself in the pursuit of something that may never come to pass." But Nwanneka was resolute. "I understand your concerns, Mama, but I believe that if I stay true to myself and to our traditions, I can overcome any obstacle. I just need you to trust me." Her mother's silence spoke volumes. The tension between tradition and innovation weighed heavily on Nwanneka, but she refused to let it break her spirit. She continued to work late into the night, perfecting her craft and infusing each piece with stories that reflected the soul of Nwanneka. However, as her reputation began to grow, so did the resistance from the villagers. One day, as Nwanneka was setting up her display at the village market, a group of older women approached her store. They were led by Mama Ozioma, a respected elder known for her adherence to tradition. "Nwanneka, what is this you are selling?" Mama Ozioma asked, her voice stern. Nwanneka looked up, her heart pounding. "They are my pottery, Mama. Each piece tells a story of our people, of our struggles and triumphs." Mama Ozioma picked up one of the pots, turning it over in her hands. The design was unlike anything she had seen before, bold, intricate, and deeply symbolic. But instead of admiration, her face showed disapproval. "This is not how we make pottery in Nwanneka," she said sharply. "Our ancestors did not create such elaborate designs. They made simple, functional pieces that served their purpose. You are disrespecting our traditions by trying to change them." Nwanneka felt a lump form in her throat, but she stood her ground. "Mama Ozioma, I am not trying to change our traditions. I am trying to preserve them in a way that honors our past while also looking to the future. These designs are inspired by the stories you have all told me, stories of courage, of love, of resilience." But Mama Ozioma was unmoved. "You are young and foolish, Nwanneka. You think you know better than those who came before you, but you are only leading yourself down a path of disappointment. Mark my words, the world will not accept your work, and you will return to us humbled." The words stung, but Nwanneka refused to let them deter her. She thanked Mama Ozioma for her advice and continued with her day, though the exchange left a heavy weight on her heart. The resistance she faced from her own people was harder to bear than she had anticipated. As the weeks passed, Nwanneka found herself increasingly isolated. Many villagers refused to buy her pottery, and even her friends began to distance themselves, fearing that her defiance of tradition would bring misfortune. But in the midst of this struggle, a glimmer of hope emerged. One afternoon, a stranger arrived in the village, a tall, dignified man with a warm smile and a keen eye for art. He introduced himself as Okachukwu, a trader who traveled between villages, seeking unique and valuable items to sell in the city. Okachukwu was immediately drawn to Nwanneka's store. He examined each piece with great interest, asking her about the inspiration behind her designs. Nwanneka explained her vision. Her voice tinged with both pride and uncertainty. "I have never seen pottery like this before," Okachukwu said, his eyes gleaming with admiration. "You have a gift, Nwanneka. These pieces are not just pottery, they are art. I would be honored to take some of your work to the city. I believe there are people who would appreciate the beauty and meaning behind them." Nwanneka was taken aback. For so long, she had faced only resistance, and now, here was someone who saw the value in her work. But along with the excitement came doubt. What if Okachukwu was wrong? What if her pottery failed to sell, confirming the fears of Mama Ozioma and the others? Yet, deep within her, a voice urged her to take the risk. This was the opportunity she had been waiting for, the chance to prove that her dreams could soar beyond the confines of Nwanneka. With a mix of hope and trepidation, Nwanneka agreed to let Okachukwu take some of her pottery to the city. As she watched him leave with her creations, she felt a strange mixture of pride and fear. The journey of her dreams had begun, and there was no turning back. Days turned into weeks, and Nwanneka anxiously awaited news from Okachukwu. Every time a trader passed through Nwanneka, her heart would leap with anticipation, only to be met with silence. The uncertainty gnawed at her, but she refused to give in to doubt. One afternoon, as Nwanneka was walking in the workshop, Chokuma ran in, breathless with excitement. "Nwan! Okachukwu is back. He's at the market." Nwanneka's heart raced. She wiped her hands on her apron and hurried to the market, her mind swirling with possibilities. As she approached Okachukwu, she noticed that his expression was somber, a stark contrast to the warmth he had shown during their last meeting. "Okachukwu, how did it go?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Okachukwu hesitated, searching for the right words. "Nwanneka, I won't lie to you. The city was not as welcoming as I had hoped. The people there, they didn't understand your work. They saw the pottery as too different, too unfamiliar. Most of them preferred the traditional pieces they were used to." Nwanneka felt a wave of disappointment wash over her. "So, none of my pieces sold?" Okachukwu sighed. "I'm afraid not. I brought them all back with me." "But Nwanneka, this doesn't mean your work isn't valuable. The city is just a difficult place. People there are often set in their ways, just like here in Nwanneka." His words were meant to comfort, but they only deepened Nwanneka's sense of failure. She had dared to dream, to push beyond the boundaries of her village, and she had been met with rejection. The doubts that had lingered at the edges of her mind now rushed forward, threatening to consume her. Seeing the pain in her eyes, Okachukwu reached out to place a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Nwanneka, I still believe in your work. This was just one attempt. The path to success is rarely straight or easy. If you give up now, you never know how far your dreams could take you." Nwanneka nodded, but the fire that had once driven her seemed to dim. She thanked Okachukwu for his efforts and took back her unsold pottery, each piece feeling heavier than before. As she walked through the market, she could feel the eyes of the villagers on her, their whispers following her every step. "See, I told you she was wasting her time," one woman murmured to another. "She should have listened to her mother. Now look at her, humiliated," another added. Nwanneka's face burned with shame, but she held her head high, determined not to let them see her pain. Yet, when she returned home, the weight of her failure became too much to bear. She retreated to the workshop, where she could be alone with her thoughts. Nwanneka sat in silence, staring at the unfinished pot on the wheel in front of her. The dreams that had once filled her heart now seemed distant, almost unattainable. She wondered if Mama Ozioma and the others had been right all along, perhaps her aspirations were nothing more than foolish fantasies. As evening fell, Nwanneka entered the workshop. She found her daughter sitting in the dim light, lost in thought. Without a word, she sat down beside her and placed a hand on her knee. "Nwanneka," Nwanneka began softly, "I heard about what happened. I know this must be hard for you." Nwanneka looked at her mother, her eyes filled with unshed tears. "Mama, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I'm not meant to do more than what is expected of me. The city didn't want my work, and now the village thinks I'm a failure." Nwanneka's heart ached for her daughter, but she also saw a moment of growth. "Nwanneka, listen to me. Failure is not the end of your journey, it's a part of it. Every great potter, every great person, faces rejection at some point. What matters is how you respond to it." Nwanneka shook her head. "But I don't know if I have the strength to keep going, Mama. I've lost so much already, my confidence, the respect of the villagers. Nwanneka took her daughter's hands in her own. You have not lost anything that truly matters. You still have your talent, your vision, and your determination. You have the ability to pick yourself up and try again. And most importantly, you have the love and support of those who believe in you. Nwanneka listened to her mother's words, feeling a glimmer of hope rekindling within her. She realized that her journey was far from over. The path ahead might be difficult, but she knew she could not give up now. The following day, Nwanneka returned to the workshop with renewed determination. She began working on a new series of pottery, each piece infused with the lessons she had learned from her experiences. This time, she decided to focus not on what others might want, but on what she felt compelled to create, pottery that told the true stories of her people, in all their complexity and beauty. As she shaped the clay, Nwanneka felt a sense of peace that she had not known in weeks. She was reminded of why she had started this journey in the first place, not for the approval of others, but to fulfill her own dreams and to give voice to the stories that deserve to be told. In the weeks that followed, Nwanneka threw herself into her work with a renewed sense of purpose. The rejection she had faced in the city had shaken her, but it also ignited a fire within her to stay true to her vision. She no longer sought the approval of others. Instead, she focused on creating pottery that resonated with her own sense of identity and the rich cultural heritage of Nwanneka. One evening, as Nwanneka was putting the finishing touches on a particularly intricate piece, she was visited by Nwanneka, one of her childhood friends. Nwanneka had been one of the few people who continued to support Nwanneka through her struggles, though even she had kept a certain distance after the incident at the market. Nwanneka began hesitantly as she entered the workshop. I've been hearing rumors about what you've been working on. I came to see it for myself. Nwanneka smiled at her friend's cautious curiosity. Come, take a look, she said, gesturing toward a series of pots displayed on a low table. Each one was unique, adorned with patterns that told stories of the village's past, its celebrations, its hardships, and the deep bonds of community that held it together. Nwanneka walked around the table, her eyes widening as she took in the intricate details. These are beautiful, Nwan, she said softly. But, are you sure you want to continue down this path? After everything that happened? Nwanneka nodded firmly. Yes, I am. I know it won't be easy, but I've realized that I can't give up on my dreams just because others don't understand them. These stories need to be told, and if I don't tell them, who will? Nwanneka looked at her friend, seeing the determination in her eyes. You're braver than I am, Nwan. I always admired you for that. But I worry about what will happen if things don't go as you hope. Nwanneka sighed, understanding her friend's concern. I worry too, Nwanneka. But I also know that if I don't try, I always wonder what could have been. I've already faced rejection, and it hurt, but it also taught me something important, that I have to be true to myself, no matter what. Nwanneka smiled, a hint of admiration in her expression. I believe in you, Nwan. And if you ever need help, you know where to find me. With that, Nwanneka left the workshop, leaving Nwanneka alone with her thoughts. The conversation had stirred something within her, an understanding that while the road ahead might be lonely at times, she was not entirely alone. There were people who believed in her, even if they didn't fully understand her vision. As the days passed, Nwanneka began to notice a subtle shift in the way the villagers treated her. The harsh whispers and cold stares were still there, but they were less frequent. It seemed that, slowly, the people of Nwanneka were starting to grow curious about her work. One afternoon, while Nwanneka was selling her pottery at the market, an elderly man named Okonkwo approached her store. Okonkwo was known in the village for his wisdom and his deep knowledge of their cultural heritage. He was also known for being a harsh critic, especially when it came to matters of tradition. Nwanneka, Okonkwo said, his voice gruff but not unkind, I've been hearing about your pottery. People say it's different, that it doesn't follow the old ways. Nwanneka braced herself for the criticism she was sure would follow. Yes, Papa Okonkwo, she replied respectfully. My pottery is inspired by our traditions, but I also try to bring something new to it, something that speaks to both our past and our future. Okonkwo nodded thoughtfully, examining one of the pots. It was adorned with a series of intricate patterns that depicted the story of the village's founding, how their ancestors had settled by the river and built a community from the ground up. The design was both complex and meaningful, a blend of old and new. You've got talent, girl, Okonkwo said after a long pause. But talent alone is not enough. You must have respect for the traditions that came before you. Do you understand that? Nwanneka met the old man's gaze, her heart pounding. I do, Papa Okonkwo. I respect our traditions deeply, and that's why I want to share them in a way that people outside our village can appreciate. I want the world to know about Nwanneka, about the stories that make us who we are. Okonkwo studied her for a moment longer, then gave a small, approving nod. You have a good heart, Nwanneka. If you can balance respect for the old ways with your desire to innovate, then maybe, just maybe, you'll succeed. With that, Okonkwo turned and walked away, leaving Nwanneka with a sense of cautious optimism. His words were the first sign that perhaps she was not as isolated as she had feared. Encouraged by this small victory, Nwanneka decided to take her pottery beyond the borders of Nwanneka once more. This time, however, she wouldn't rely on a trader. She would go herself, to see firsthand how her work was received and to share the stories of her village with the world. The journey was daunting, and the fear of rejection still lingered, but Nwanneka knew she had to take the risk. Her dreams were worth fighting for, and she was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The sun had just begun to rise as Nwanneka set out on her journey, her heart filled with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. She had packed her best pieces of pottery, each one carefully wrapped in cloth and nestled in a sturdy basket. As she walked through the village, she could feel the eyes of the early risers on her, some watching with curiosity, others with doubt. Nwanneka had chosen to travel to a nearby town, Nsofia, where a monthly market attracted traders and buyers from far and wide. It was a place known for its bustling activity and for its openness to new ideas. Nwanneka hoped that in Sofia, her pottery would find the appreciation it deserved. As she left Nwanneka behind, Nwanneka felt a pang of anxiety. This was the first time she had traveled so far from home, and the uncertainty of what lay ahead weighed heavily on her mind. But she also felt a growing sense of determination. This journey was not just about selling her pottery, it was about proving to herself that she had the strength to pursue her dreams, no matter the obstacles. The road to Nsofia was long and winding, passing through fields, small villages, and dense groves of palm trees. Along the way, Nwanneka encountered other travelers, traders carrying their goods, farmers leading their animals, and children playing by the roadside. Some greeted her with friendly smiles, while others looked at her with curiosity, perhaps wondering what a young woman like her was doing on such a journey. After several hours of walking, Nwanneka reached a resting place by a small stream. She sat down on a large rock, stretching her tired legs and taking a sip of water from her gourd. As she rested, she was approached by an elderly woman who had been traveling with a group of traders. "Good day, my daughter," the woman said kindly. "You seem to be on an important journey. May I ask where you are headed?" Nwanneka smiled at the woman's warm demeanor. "I'm going to Nsofia to sell my pottery," she replied. "I'm hoping that the people there will appreciate the work I've put into it." The woman nodded, her eyes twinkling with understanding. "Oh, Nsofia is a good place for such things. The people there are always looking for something new and beautiful. I'm sure your pottery will do well." Nwanneka felt a surge of hope at the woman's words. "Thank you, Mama. I pray that it does. I've faced some challenges already, but I'm determined to keep going." The woman chuckled softly. Challenges are a part of life, my dear. But they are also what make the journey worthwhile. If everything came easily, we would never appreciate the true value of our successes. Nwanneka nodded, feeling a renewed sense of resolve. The woman's words reminded her of her mother's advice and the encouragement she had received from her friend Nneka and Papa Okonkwo. She realized that while the journey ahead was uncertain, it was also full of possibilities. After resting for a while, Nwanneka continued on her way, the elderly woman's words echoing in her mind. As she walked, she thought about the stories her pottery told, the stories of Nwanneka, of her people, and of her own journey. These stories were a part of her, and sharing them with the world was a way of honoring her heritage and her dreams. By the time Nwanneka reached Nsofia, the sun was high in the sky, casting a golden light over the bustling market. The town was larger than Nwanneka, with rows of stalls lining the streets and people from different villages and towns mingling in the crowded market square. The air was filled with the sounds of haggling, laughter, and the clatter of goods being unpacked and displayed. Nwanneka felt a rush of excitement as she found a spot for her stall. She carefully arranged her pottery on a low table, making sure each piece was displayed to its best advantage. As she did so, she noticed other traders eyeing her work with interest, some whispering to each other as they passed by. Once her stall was set up, Nwanneka took a deep breath and waited for the first customers to approach. The minutes seemed to stretch into hours as she stood there, her heart pounding with anticipation. Would anyone stop to look at her pottery? Would they see the value in her work, or would she face rejection once again? Finally, a young couple approached her stall, their eyes drawn to the intricate designs on her pots. The woman picked up a small bowl, running her fingers over the delicate patterns. "This is beautiful," the woman said, smiling at Nwanneka. "I've never seen anything like it. Did you make this yourself?" Nwanneka nodded, her heart swelling with pride. "Yes, I did. Each piece is handmade and tells a story from my village, Nwanneka." The woman's eyes lit up with interest. "I love the idea of stories being told through pottery. It makes each piece so unique. How much for this bowl?" Nwanneka told her the price, and after a brief negotiation, the woman agreed to buy it. As Nwanneka wrapped the bowl in cloth and handed it to her, she felt a sense of accomplishment that went beyond the sale. Someone had seen the value in her work, someone who appreciated the stories she had worked so hard to tell. Throughout the day, more people stopped by Nwanneka's stall, some buying her pottery, others simply admiring the craftsmanship. As the sun began to set, Nwanneka realized that she had sold most of her pieces. The market had been a success, but more importantly, it had reaffirmed her belief in herself and her dreams. As she packed up the remaining pottery and prepared to head back home, Nwanneka felt a deep sense of gratitude. The journey had not been easy, but it had been worth it. She had faced her fears, embraced her challenges, and emerged stronger and more determined than ever. Nwanneka's return to Nwanneka was marked by a quiet sense of triumph. The journey to Nsofia had been a success, not just because she had sold most of her pottery, but because she had proven to herself that her dreams were worth pursuing. She walked through the village with a new confidence, her head held high, no longer burdened by the whispers of doubt that had once surrounded her. As she entered her workshop, she placed the few remaining pots on a shelf and sat down, reflecting on the experiences she had gathered during her journey. The market in Nsofia had opened her eyes to the possibilities that lay beyond the boundaries of Nwanneka, and she felt a growing desire to continue expanding her horizons. However, Nwanneka also knew that her work was far from over. The road to success was long and winding, and she would need to keep pushing herself, innovating, and staying true to the stories she wanted to tell. She thought about the advice she had received from the elderly woman by the stream and from Papa Okonkwo. Their words had stayed with her, guiding her through moments of doubt and uncertainty. Over the next few days, Nwanneka threw herself into her work with renewed vigor. She experimented with new designs, incorporating elements from her journey into her pottery. Each piece became a reflection of her experiences, the winding roads, the bustling markets, the wisdom of elders, and the courage it took to follow her dreams. One afternoon, as Nwanneka was working on a new pot, she was visited by a group of young girls from the village. They were giggling and chattering as they approached her workshop, their eyes wide with curiosity. Nwanneka, one of the girls, called out, "We heard you went to Sofia and sold your pottery. Is it true?" Nwanneka smiled at their excitement. "Yes, it's true," she replied. "I took my pottery to the market there, and many people were interested in the stories I had to tell." The girls crowded around her, eager to see her work. "Can we watch you make a pot?" another girl asked. "We want to learn how you do it." Nwanneka's heart warmed at their enthusiasm. She remembered how she had been as a child, fascinated by the craft of pottery and eager to learn from her mother. She saw a bit of herself in these young girls, their curiosity and eagerness to explore the world around them. "Of course you can," Nwanneka said, motioning for them to sit down. "I'll show you how to shape the clay and create patterns that tell a story." It's important to remember that each piece of pottery has a story to tell, just like each of us. As Nwanneka worked, she explained the process to the girls, showing them how to knead the clay, shape it into a pot, and carve intricate designs into its surface. The girls watched in awe, occasionally asking questions or offering suggestions for the patterns. Nwanneka encouraged them to think about the stories they wanted to tell through their own creations, whether they were about their families, the village, or their dreams for the future. "Why do you make pottery, Nwanneka?" one of the girls asked as she watched the pot take shape. Nwanneka paused for a moment, considering the question. "I make pottery because it's a way for me to express myself and to share the stories of our people with the world. It's also a way for me to pursue my dreams, even when it's difficult. When I'm working with the clay, I feel connected to something bigger than myself, our history, our culture, and the dreams we all have." The girls nodded, their faces thoughtful as they absorbed Nwanneka's words. She could see the spark of inspiration in their eyes, the seed of a dream beginning to take root. It reminded her of the importance of not only following her own dreams but also inspiring others to do the same. As the afternoon turned into evening, the girls reluctantly left the workshop, promising to return the next day to learn more. Nwanneka watched them go, a sense of fulfillment washing over her. She realized that her journey was not just about achieving her own goals but also about planting the seeds of inspiration in others. By sharing her story, she could encourage the next generation to dream big and pursue their own paths, no matter the challenges they might face. That night, as Nwanneka sat by the fire, she thought about the road ahead. She knew there would be more challenges, more moments of doubt, and more lessons to learn. But she also knew that she was not alone on this journey. The support of her friends, the wisdom of her elders, and the inspiration she had found in the eyes of the village children all gave her the strength to keep going. Nwanneka's dreams had taken flight, soaring higher than she had ever imagined. And she was ready to continue on this journey, knowing that with each step, she was not just shaping clay, but also shaping her future and the futures of those who would follow in her footsteps. The days following the visit from the young girls were some of the most fulfilling in Nwanneka's life. Her workshop became a hub of activity as the girls returned day after day, eager to learn more about pottery and to share the stories they were beginning to shape in clay. Their laughter and curiosity filled the space, transforming it into a place of creativity and inspiration. Nwanneka found herself not just teaching the art of pottery but also mentoring the girls in the broader aspects of life, how to stay determined, how to handle failure, and how to nurture their dreams despite the obstacles they might face. She shared stories of her journey, the challenges she had overcome, and the lessons she had learned along the way. As word spread about Nwanneka's success in Sofia, more villagers began to take notice. Even those who had once doubted her abilities started to show interest in her work. They visited her workshop, curious to see what had made her pottery so popular in the neighboring town. Some even began to purchase her pieces, recognizing the value and uniqueness of her craft. One day, as Nwanneka was busy molding a new pot, she received an unexpected visitor. It was Ezenwa, the wealthy trader who had once rejected her pottery. He approached her with a humble expression, his eyes avoiding hers. "Nwanneka," Ezenwa began, "I have come to apologize. I was wrong to dismiss your work before. I see now that your pottery is not just beautiful, but it carries the spirit of our people. I would like to offer you a place in my store, where your pottery can be showcased to more buyers. What do you say?" Nwanneka was taken aback by his words. A few months ago, she would have jumped at the opportunity to have her work displayed in Ezenwa's store. But now, after all she had been through, she realized that her success did not depend on anyone else's approval. Her work had its own value, and she no longer needed validation from those who had doubted her. "Thank you, Ezenwa," Nwanneka replied, her voice steady. "I appreciate your offer, but I have decided to continue selling my pottery on my own. I want to remain connected to the people who buy my work, to share the stories behind each piece personally. That's what makes it special." Ezenwa nodded, a look of respect in his eyes. "I understand, Nwanneka. You have found your own path, and I admire that. If you ever change your mind, my offer will always stand." After he left, Nwanneka felt a deep sense of satisfaction. She had chosen to stay true to herself and her vision, and that decision had empowered her more than any business deal could. Her dream was no longer just about success or recognition, it was about authenticity, community, and the joy of creating something meaningful. As the months passed, Nwanneka's reputation continued to grow. People from neighboring villages began to visit Nwanneka specifically to purchase her pottery. She received invitations to showcase her work at markets and festivals in different towns, and her workshop became a gathering place for those who sought inspiration. One evening, as Nwanneka sat by the fire with her mother, she reflected on how far she had come. Her journey had been filled with challenges, but each one had strengthened her resolve and deepened her understanding of what it meant to pursue a dream. "Mother," Nwanneka said softly, "I've learned so much on this journey. I've learned that dreams are not just about where you end up, but about who you become along the way. It's about the people you meet, the lessons you learn, and the impact you have on others." Her mother smiled, her eyes filled with pride. "You've become a wise woman, Nwanneka. I always knew you had it in you. Your father would be proud." Nwanneka looked up at the stars, feeling a deep connection to her father's memory. She knew that he had been with her every step of the way, guiding her, encouraging her, and helping her dreams take flight. As the night grew darker, Nwanneka felt a sense of peace wash over her. She had faced her fears, embraced her challenges, and stayed true to her dreams. And in doing so, she had not only found success but also inspired others to pursue their own dreams. The young girls who had come to her workshop were now creating their own pottery, each piece a reflection of their own stories and dreams. Nwanneka knew that they, too, would face challenges, but she was confident that they had the strength to overcome them. Nwanneka's dream had soared higher than she had ever imagined, and it was still soaring. But now, it was not just her dream, it was a collective dream, one that encompassed the hopes and aspirations of an entire community. And so, Nwanneka continued to create, to teach, and to inspire. Her journey was far from over, but she embraced it with open arms, knowing that the true beauty of a dream lies not in its destination, but in the journey it takes you on.